Hello, movie fans. Story recaps here. Today we're diving into this 2019 horror mystery that takes us on a twisted journey into an ordinary field that holds dark and disturbing secrets.
Our story begins with siblings Becky and Cal driving through the countryside. They're on their way to San Diego. Becky is 6 months pregnant, and Cal, her brother, is driving her there when they hear a child's voice coming from a nearby field of tall grass. Intrigued, they pull over to investigate. Despite Becky's doubts, Cal jumps into the grass, hoping to help the lost child. Becky was left with no other option but to follow him. Little did they know, this decision will push them into a nightmarish maze of time and space. They come to know that the child's name is Tobin, and he and his mom has been wandering for 3 days. Becky tries to call the emergency service, but the line disconnects as she went deeper into the grass. Cal yells at the boy to stay still as it seemed like he was running around. Becky expresses her doubts about the whole situation to Cal and suggests that first they should meet up at the road and then figure out a way to rescue the kid. In order to locate each other, Becky tells him to jump with their hands in the air so they could see each other, then jump and find out that they are close. To confirm, they jump once more and somehow now they are a mile away. They realize it's not as simple as it seems. The field seems to be alive, shifting and changing around them. They soon lose sight of each other. Cal panics, running through the field like a madman. He trips over, and then he finds something really horrifying, a rotting dog with lots of flies. The scene spooks him out. Becky's getting tired, so she sits down. It sounds like Cal's getting closer, and Becky greets him. But it's not Cal. It's Ross Humboldt. He identifies himself as Tobin's father, and he's in the tall grass looking for his wife and child. It will be better if they search for them together. Lost and disoriented, Cal starts talking to himself, saying that he's not going to find Becky. A boy overhears him and tells that he can find her. But it is easier once she is dead. Tobin tells Cal that he can lead Cal to Becky. Cal, not having any other option, followed Tobin. When he finally reached the place, there is no sign of Becky, but a giant spooky rock is lying right in the middle. The rock was strange and had weird markings on it. Tobin convinces Cal to touch the rock and he will find Becky.
Cal approaches to touch the rock. Just when he was about to touch the rock, he hears a scream from Becky. Cal, without wasting any time, rushes towards the voice, calling out for Becky multiple times. Outside of the grass field, we find a new character, inquiring about Cal and Becky, but isn't having any luck. Meet Travis, father to Becky's child. As he was on his way back, he spots Becky's car near a church. He gets down to have a closer look. He finds rotting food inside of the car, which suggests that the car has been sitting there for quite some time. On his way, he also recognizes Beck's book, lying upside down, and figures something isn't right. He decides to enter the tall grass to look for Becky. Travis is smart. He leaves his trail by tying a knot in the grass, but sadly that won't cut it, as the grass keeps unraveling itself. After walking for some time, he suddenly gets spooked to see that Sun's location has suddenly changed. Night falls and Travis is resting. He hears voices coming from the grass. He goes ahead and tries to find out. He sees a shadow crossing but could not see anyone. He turns around and is startled by Tobin. Tobin already knows Travis and calls him by his name. This makes Travis really curious because he has never seen the kid. Travis learns that he even knows where Becky is. Travis begs to take him to her. Travis follows Tobin while he is running like crazy to the spot. He is completely shattered to see Becky, lying lifeless on the ground. She is dead. Travis wakes up the next morning next to Becky's body. With despair, he collects the necklace from her neck. Travis, feeling completely hopeless, starts to wander around and hears Tobin's voice. He calls out for help from Tobin. Tobin, on the other hand, freaks out to hear that the stranger in the grass knows his name. Freddy, Tobin's dog, runs towards Travis's voice. Tobin follows Freddy and so does Ross and Natalie. But Travis tried to warn them not to get back in the grass. But Ross says in dismay that they are already inside the grass. Time passes by and it is nightfall. Ross has lost both his wife and son since entering the grass. On his way, he comes across that mysterious rock. Ross approaching the rock, and an ominous music starts playing, and cut to next day. Surprisingly, we again see the Becky and Cal arriving to the spot, and the same sequence of events happen again. They hear Tobin's call for help and go to rescue him, but this time Travis is there too. Travis, unsteadily walking, hears Becky's voice and it took him by shock. He calls out for Becky and tells her that he came looking for them. Becky and Cal are surprised as how did Travis reach before them? Travis reassures that it didn't matter as they are now together. Tobin is lost and he stumbles across dead, rotting Freddy, and that freaks him out. So Travis suggests that Tobin should keep talking and act as a guiding voice, and all three of them should follow his voice. After struggling for a while, they finally all meet up at Tobin's location. Travis tells that they are missing for 2 months. In the middle of this crazy conversation, Becky has a feeling that someone was watching them. Creeped out by that feeling, Becky stresses on that they should get out ASAP and sort out the rest later. Travis lifts Tobin on his shoulder. Tobin marks the church building destination and start walking. Becky receives call from an unknown number. On receiving, the voice seemed like Becky herself. The voice warned Becky to not let Cal hurt Travis. The call disconnects abruptly, leaving everyone in fear and shock. Determined to find a way out, they continues to navigate the labyrinthine field, but the grass seems to defy all logic, leading them in circles and distorting their perception of time. The church that they were following all along had suddenly disappeared, Ross, Tobin's father, appears from nowhere and assures them that he knows the way out. Falling out of option, they decide to follow Ross. Ross leads the troop all the way to the mysterious rock. Ross tries to convince them that the rock is the center of everything, and touching it will show them the way out. Becky, Cal, and the others learn that the grass possesses a malevolent entity that feeds on their fear and desires. Cal walks towards the rock and finds these weird carvings on it. Just as he was about to touch the rock, he was interrupted by Natalie, Tobin's mother. Natalie warns Cal that Ross was a liar and he is not what he seems. She is startled to see Becky, alive and breathing. On pressing, she told that, a while ago, she saw Becky dead, rotting in the field. Ross tries to suppress the entire situation by telling that Natalie is just confused due to hunger and hallucinating. Meanwhile, Becky's stomach hurts and she has a vision of Ross as an evil entity. Upon gaining senses, Becky presses on going on their own way. Travis tells that Ross should let Natalie and Tobin to join them, but Ross doesn't reciprocate. He and Travis get into heated argument, leading to a brawl. Ross hurts Travis pretty bad. In the middle of the fight, Tobin and Natalie make an attempt to run towards Becky. Tobin reaches, but Natalie gets caught by Ross. Ross crushes her skull with his bare hands. Spooked out by everything that's happening, all of them run into the grass. On their way, they find Freddy, Tobin's dog, alive. They discover that time is not linear within the tall grass. Past, present, and future intertwine, making it nearly impossible to find a way out. However, they manage to reach an abandoned building in the middle of the grassland. On getting inside, Cal and Travis barricade the door. After cooling down, Cal and Travis suddenly start blaming each other for the events and get into heated argument. Argument leads up to fight. It stops as soon as they hear Ross banging at the door. They immediately rush towards the roof to take refuge. On reaching the roof, they are able to see the road clearly, but Travis expresses his concerns when he says that if they enter the grass, they will be lost again. Suddenly they see Freddy enter a patch of grass, disappearing and reappearing on the road. They realize that must be some sort of hidden portal that opens on the outside. While standing the edge, Travis trips and somehow hangs by Cal's hand. Cal, guided by evil, decides to let go and let Travis take the fall. Ross somehow makes his way to the top. Becky, Cal, and Tobin run away. When Becky asks about Travis, Cal lies, telling that he is just right behind them. Becky realizes something isn't right and Cal might have hurt Travis. She gets scared of Cal and makes her way without him. Ross finally catches up to Cal, revealing to him his darkest secret. Cal gets terrified and runs for his life. All his efforts went in vain. When Ross finally gets hold of him and tells him that he cannot escape death, Ross reveals Sinister's secret that this is not the first time he is getting killed. Then we are shown multiple bodies of dead Cal. Travis luckily survives the fall and starts searching for Becky. They reach someplace close and Travis apologizes for all his past mistakes. Becky also apologizes as she admits that she was afraid and she and Cal were traveling to San Diego to give up the baby for adoption. Amidst the conversation, Ross finds Becky and tries to hurt her. Becky tries to resist, but he is too strong. Luckily, during the struggle, Becky stumbles over a first aid kit and she picks a scissor and stabs Ross in his left eye. Becky utilizes the brief window and makes a run for her life. It started raining heavily and Becky suddenly started seeing creepy grass people all around her. They pick her up and carry her back to the rock. She passes out in the middle. On regaining her senses, she finds herself lying beside the rock. She calls out for Travis for help. She is in constant pain. She takes out her phone and calls herself to warn about Cal hurting Travis. Here we get to know about that spooky call Becky received earlier was in fact Becky herself, just another variant of hers. Becky's pain spikes and carvings on the rock suggest that Becky is about to give birth. The ground shatters and reveals a lot of tortured souls screaming. Becky screams in fear and the screen fades out. When she regains her senses, she opens her eyes to find Cal in front of her. Cal says that her baby girl is fine and healthy. Becky is not in her full senses yet. She is dozing on and off. At one point, she is seen being fed something by Cal. On asking, Cal replies that it's just grass and seeds. Becky, on sensing something unnatural, tells that the taste felt familiar. Suddenly, Cal turns into Ross and reveals very disturbing secret. Ross was feeding Becky her baby. Travis is still looking for Becky and finds her lying beside the rock. He kneels down and is horrified to feel that the baby is missing. Tobin is watching everything and breaks the news to Travis. His dad has killed his baby. Tobin is freaking out and tells Travis that they can't escape Ross. In a heart-pounding climax, Travis has had enough and calls out Ross to settle it once and for all. Ross suddenly appears behind him. Ross overpowers Travis and tries to suffocate him by shoving his head in the mud. The power struggle continues, and he guts Travis with a bone. After setting score with Travis, Ross tries to force Tobin into touching the rock. Becky sprung out of nowhere and stabbed Ross in the other eye in attempt to save Tobin. Ross loses it completely and started swinging blindly. Travis uses the advantage and delivered the final blow and choked Ross till his is dead. Becky is dead. Travis, feeling out of option, finally decides to touch the rock in order to save Tobin. Tobin tries to talk him out of it, but Travis is determined. As soon as he does, we see that grass gets hold of his soul and he has a vision of all the possible ways out of the grass. Travis carries Tobin to a spot. After giving him Becky's necklace, he tells Tobin to warn Becky and Cal and not let them in. He hurls Tobin through the grass and some Tobin lands on a wooden floor. When he opens the door, we get to know that he has traveled back in time, and we are back at the start of the movie. On seeing Becky's car, he hurriedly runs towards them, warning them to not not go in. Cal was about to go in, but Tobin shows Becky her necklace, which Travis gave him. Becky is completely shook to see that. On asking when he gets to know that Travis gave it to him, she is spooked. Becky senses something is not right and stops Cal from going in. Becky makes the right call this time, takes Tobin in. She changes her mind of giving up the baby and they drive off. Travis was hearing everything, and on realizing that Tobin had succeeded, he breathes an air of relief and succumbs to the tall grass. And there you have it, the gripping tale of In the Tall Grass. If you're a fan of psychological thrillers with a touch of the supernatural, this movie is definitely worth a watch. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more exciting movie recaps.